and a long way to go in the fight against inflation. Now, the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell recently spoke, and he said that more interest rate hikes are ahead until inflation is cooled down even further. Now, just recently, the Federal Reserve decided to not raise interest rates, and that was the first time that they did so in over a year. Now, they've been raising interest rates like clockwork month over month for well over a year now. Just recently, they decided to not do so because the data said to not do so. But they've also let us know that this was a temporary pause and they will continue to raise rates later in the year. Now, for the longest, the Federal Reserve's goal was 2% inflation. Recently, we've seen the number at 4%, which is double their target goal, but it's also much less than the inflation that we've seen over the past year. We've seen it at 9%, 8%. And if I'm being honest, some of the items that I regularly buy, they were well over 9%. Some things were up 100, 200%. You know, things that used to cost $10, $20 are $20 to $40 now, so on and so forth. Things that used to cost $50 or $80, $90. You know, these aren't 8, 9% differences. Things have been costing a lot more, but the data has shown that overall inflation down to about 4%. So we've seen quite a bit of a stride. And if I'm being honest, this 2% goal, we're in such different market conditions. Now, when it was at 2%, you had money was cheap, interest rates were low, things were growing at a steady pace. You didn't have things just going, you know, crazy and booming everywhere. Things were steady, things were peachy, but we are not living in those times. So 2% inflation right now, you know, money's not cheap. Interest rates are up. Everything is expensive. The world has turned upside down from that time. So in order to achieve 2% inflation in the market conditions that we're in right now, it doesn't necessarily make sense. It really makes me think about Thanos. In the movie, The Avengers, how Thanos had this goal for the sustainability of the entire world, of everything. But they asked him at what cost. He wanted this stable, this perfect world, but in order to achieve it, he had to wipe out half of everything that existed. Was that price worth it? Absolutely not. So for the Federal Reserve to go back to 2% inflation based off of all the market conditions that we have right now, what is the cost? Is it worth the cost? And honestly, I thought the Federal Reserve would be a lot smarter than this as the data comes in. And another thing is the data doesn't just present itself the very next day. It's not like you raise interest rates and then the next day consumers stop spending, prices decrease. You know, these things take time to unfold, and I feel that we could get down to that 2% inflation organically without just pumping and raising rates. Let the data reveal itself. Give these things time, and this soft landing type of thing, we're at a specific point where, you know, if you mess this up, the risk for the economy is too great. I really think pause the interest rate hikes. Stop doing it. They're already high. We've already seen massive layoffs from a lot of companies, less spending. Consumer spending has gone in a different direction. People are more conscious about money because it is more expensive. So let the data play out. Let's see where it goes before we continue to just rush and raise rates because the risk is too high. If you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me.